Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast.
The Grand Rapids Griffins are number 1 in the AHL Power Rankings. Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. I'm your host, Connor.
And I'm your host, Kyle. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network, sponsored by Draftkings and GameTime.
So Sebastian Cossa is called up to the Detroit Red Wings. For 2 games, he sits the bench so far. And we're in, the third period right now at recording time.
Yeah, sliding through halfway through the third, and Huso is in the net, playing a good game.
I'm hoping he gets a good taste of NHL action. I hope he gets to experience it. I don't want him to just go up there and sit on the bench the whole time. I'd like him to get some playing time. But I would like to see him back. I'd like to see him finish out this season with us in Grand Rapids. I mean, we're first in the power rankings, and that's because of him and Huso. Our goalies are up here in Detroit now. So we would like to see at least Cossa back down for the playoffs. And I'm sure we'll see him back down as soon as Talbot's healthy.
Yeah, I still think 50 games is the plan for Cossa in the schedule this year. But Grand Rapids looks like they need someone to start for them on Friday, regardless. And I think a Campbell start is imminent.
Yeah, I'd say so, or a Geilander again.
Yeah, we've seen Geilander. I think at this point you just want to see what we're getting out of Campbell after coming out of the Players Assistance Program. And we haven't seen him all year as a live game part of this organization. So I think give him some ice time, see how he does. And at least, yeah, we have Geilander still if we need him.
I'd put my money on that we'll have Cossa back as soon as Talbot's healthy. I don't think this is the situation where Cossa is going to be stealing the job and taking off and bringing us to the Stanley Cup. It's just not realistic.
Yeah, I think even if he plays against Colorado, has a really good game, even if he gets a shutout, I don't see him staying up for the entire season. I just don't see the point of them putting that workload on him right now in his career, as the Red Wings just, I don't know if they can really play the type of game to minimize the attempts taken on Cossa, and they just don't hold enough offensive time. Cossa would really have to be a backbone for them. Griffins, yeah, number 1 in the power rankings. That's good to see. Good to hear.
But we're playing Chicago 3 times this weekend. We'll get another taste of them. They're actually like the worst in the division, so hopefully we can get most wins out of that. A solid 2 or 3 would be good. Let's get into the division and standings. The Grand Rapids Griffins have played 20 games, and they are 14-5, 1-0 with 29 points. They're first in the Central Division, second in the Western Conference, and third in the AHL. The Central Division standings go as first place the Grand Rapids Griffins, 29 points. Second place the Milwaukee Admirals with 25 points. Third place the Texas Stars with 22 points. Fourth place the Rockford Ice Hogs with 18 points. In fifth place the Chicago Wolves climbing up with 15 points, passing the Iowa Wild at 6th, 13 points, and the Manitoba Moose are now sitting at the bottom, 12 points.
Yeah, 3-7-0 in their last 10. Manitoba falling off right now. And Chicago getting some assistance from Carolina finally, getting some draft picks. So they have picked up the pace, and they even gave us a hassle this weekend as we lost 2-5 to them. So Chicago a team to look out for right now, I guess.
Yeah, and we're playing them 3 times this weekend, like I said. So yeah, let's take a look around the conference and division. In our conference, we got the Wranglers in first place, and then sitting at the top of the league, the Hershey Bears are still sitting there.
Yeah, the Rocket, the Wranglers, they've really stepped up over these last 2 seasons, and I think it's Hershey Bears are gonna have to watch themselves. They don't have as much of a reign. They're not running away with the number one spot this year. That's for sure. It's a lot closer in the top 5.
Yeah, it goes Hershey with 33 points, Calgary with 31, Griffins with 29, LaBelle Rocket with 29, and Cleveland Monsters with 29. So it's technically a 3-way tie for third right now.
Yeah, the big difference: Griffins only have 20 games played. These other teams all have more, 21 or more.
Griffins are sitting in a good spot right now. Is like we could just coast through, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let up. I'd just keep playing how we're playing and get ourselves right into playoff position, get that home field advantage.
Yeah, agreed. Don't take your foot off the gas. Even with Kosa up, if we have to play a game on Friday, I hope it's a good experiment for, like we said, hopefully maybe Campbell to step in, and we'll see what happens with that. It's a big question mark moving forward. What do the Griffins do without Kosa if we ever lose them?
Trey Augustine.
So we can move into hot, cold.
So in this segment, we pick one player who's hot, one player who's cold, and then we randomly generate a number and match it with a player's jersey, and we rate them. So who do you got for cold, Kyle?
William Wallander. It's just been a rough weekend for him. This last triple header ended up going -6 in the last 3 games. Obviously made an impact on the offensive side, had 2 assists in one of the games. But just since his return, we're kind of seeing the same Wallander that we saw last season, where it's a lot of offensive performances, but it's time to lock it down. And it goes with a couple of the other players. I mean, Lombardi's dropped plus minus in this game versus Chicago. It was a rough one. Our top lines took some hit. The veteran line took a hit. I think Dominic Shine was -5 over this weekend. So a couple, points to look out for, but I think Wallander definitely took the biggest hit with the -6 there.
Yeah, I've noticed he's really kind of helped out on the power play, and he's really helped out offensively in general. But yeah, his defensive abilities still lacking a little bit, and I notice he gets knocked down, gets turned over. So yeah, hopefully he can step it up and get back to playing good. Because when he first stepped back in, I thought he was looking really good. Now that I see that he's -6, it's like, oh dang, man, you need to really.
And it's not all on him, but as basically the top prospect here in Grand Rapids for us that Detroit's looking out for. I mean, we're putting a high standard on him for sure. On the season, William Wallander in 10 games has put up 4 assists, 4 points, and is -1 overall.
So see that offense really balanced it out. Even though he was -6, he's still sitting not too low. So who I got for cold? I got Hunter Johannes just because I know we put him on here before, but he's come back from injury and he's just kind of hasn't done anything really. He's played 14 games. He has 0 goals, 1 assist, for 1 point. He's got 18 penalty minutes. And he just hasn't been that physical presence that he was last year that we signed on late in the season and into the playoffs. I mean, he's lost a couple fights. I just need to see something from him, or I don't see him sticking around long once we get the influx of players after the season ends. I could see him being let go or sent somewhere to Toledo, or I'm not sure. I would just get my stuff together so it doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, it's been a little quiet for him, and I mean, quiet's not normally a term that you'd use with him when you're talking about his highlights. I mean, he's a heavy hitter. He's a physically dominated player. That's what you like to see out of his play style. But yeah, I mean, it's not showing up in the scoreboard. Feel like him and Lombardi were pretty tight at the beginning of the season, but since his injury, his ice time has been limited, and the injuries from a lost fight. So I mean, it's hard for Johannes. I'm sure he doesn't like playing with that face mask on either. It changes up his whole game style. So yeah, it's interesting story with him. I'd like to see more out of him too.
Yeah, so let's move on to hot. So who do you have for hot?
Gotta say Nate Danielson. I mean, we kind of mentioned him in the last episode a little bit. Kind just threw that prediction out there that he's gonna start playing at a point per game level, and so far he has. He's got 2 points in the last game, but just really starting to perform on the power play. Sometimes looks like he's stumbling around out there trying to figure it out, but in the end, it seems like it's starting to work. So, and yeah, I just want him to keep his head up out there. Stay, he's got his nose down a lot, making plays. Got to keep that head up. Watch for guys coming in to hit you. Stay safe.
Yeah, Nate Danielson had like 2 points in his first 8 games, and then nine in his last 8. So he's looking really good, and I'd like to see him continue that pace. He was having a little bit of struggles on the power play at home the other night, pretty bad. Like he was really messing it up, sending it out of the zone, turning it over. That's all part of taking risks on the power play and finding your niche. And I'd rather have him messing up down here right now than in Detroit when it's for a championship. So
Well said. So for Nate Danielson on the season, in 20 games played, he's got 3 goals for 10 assists, 13 points, and he's a +2.
yeah, so for who I have for hot, I have the defense being ranked 5th overall in goals allowed with 48. And like compared to the last 2 seasons, last year we had 68 in our first 20 games and 83 the year before that. So that's almost like about half. Not quite, but it's almost half from 2 years ago. Cut the goals at half. So, and then we're 3rd ranked for goals per game allowed, which is 2.4. So our defense is really impressive. But take this with a grain of salt because this all could just be a reflection of Kosa and Huso.
Right.
It's kind of hard to tell which one's really doing good. I think it's actually Kosa and Huso, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of really bad giveaways from our defense. I've seen the other team take control of our zone when we don't need them to. But just considering the amount of less goals, I'm going to give them credit. Our defense is hot. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a Geilander went into Chicago and he took 38 shots, which has allowed 4 goals, but That's 38 shots he had to save. And yeah, it's sometimes you wonder if it is the goalie or that's been keeping us so goals against so low. But the save percentage by our goalies has just been insane by all of them, really.
But yeah, so we're gonna give the defense a hot here, and the goalies too, almost. But they're obviously going to be in our next segment for earning their wings. That's who we're going to be talking about because you're both up on Detroit right now.
So to randomly select a number that matches a player, we pull up number 5, Emil Vero.
He was on cold last week, I believe. Since then, he's gotten 2 assists, assists in back-to-back games. His offense is starting to look good a little bit. Finally got those couple points. Now I just need to see him improve his defense. I think he's starting to be just lukewarm.
Yeah, I think he got himself out of the cold water this weekend. At least he turned it up a notch. He got his first 2 points of the season, and went +2. A lot of these players, like our top couple lines, are taking some serious negatives at even strength. So it's Vero was out there a lot for even strength and ended up +2. So it's good to see him and kind of get himself out of the cold. We don't want any guys in cold. That's the whole point. The fact that he turned it around the week we put him on cold is amazing.
It is. I'm impressed with him. Let's get our ads done and move on to Griffins earning their wings.
The 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at Draftkings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expired 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. If you're anything like me, you have a few favorite prospects that you are waiting for to take the ice for their NHL club. Don't miss the day they make their debut, and be at the rink when your favorite team's future takes the ice. GameTime makes it easy to be a part of your team's biggest moments. And of course, GameTime has you covered for the upcoming Winter Classic. They can find you the cheapest possible seats, or find you the best available seats at Wrigley Field for the 4 p.m. matchup of the Blues and the Blackhawks. Offering more than just sporting events, GameTime has tickets to many high-profile events, concerts, and shows. Visit GameTime.co, that's GameTime.co, and allow the GameTime Picks feature to sort the events that mean the most to you. Look for GameTime's super deal to find the lowest price guarantee, and even view your seating before purchasing. Covered by the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, your purchase is protected by event cancellation and job loss protection. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time.
So for Griffins earning your wings, we're going to talk about Sebastian Kosa and Billy Huso both because they have been our goalies for the year, and they are both called up due to emergency conditions. Huso was our guy last year up in Detroit, and he had a rough patch there, and he got injured, and then he had a fallout on opening night, and since then he's been here in Grand Rapids and really dominated down in Grand Rapids. I mean, down in Grand Rapids, his numbers are great.
Yeah, he's in 4 games. He's won all of them. Hasn't lost one in Grand Rapids yet. He's got a 1.58 goals against average and a .944 save percentage, which is really good stuff. I mean, he's a shutdown goalie in the AHL, as he should be if he wants to keep his job in Detroit.
He's got a shutout too.
Yeah, it's different in Detroit. It has been all season. He hasn't won a game in 5. And he's got a 4.22 goals against average and a .856 save percentage. These are stats before the game that's on right now against the Senators. So I just know they unfortunately did not win that one either with Huso in regulation.
So yeah, I'm just hoping Huso can get himself some more wins, and this is almost kind of why I don't want to throw Kosa right in there. You know, because Kosa is like, look at Huso, he's dominating in the AHL, but then you send him up here where he's facing Connor McDavid. It's a lot
And the
harder.
Red Wings defense that just hasn't quite been there this season. And there's a lot of young, great players, but there's a lot of movement happening and definitely need some help up there. Need some veteran assistance. That is probably not what we have. Goalies are struggling. Talbot's put on some good numbers, but winning games has just been a challenge for these goaltenders, all of them.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens with Billy Huso if he also gets sent down once Lyon eventually is better, or if they keep him up and he turns it around and they keep him up. Or interesting.
And he had a pretty good game against the Senators. He's not a bad goaltender, but I think it's just been to that point where he just hasn't performed for the Wings in clutch moments, and they just might start to look other direction, look for other options.
And as soon as that trade deadline hits, it shakes everything up. You know, Huso will be gone. Like, the trade deadline will shake up your NHL team, but when you're like, if we reach that point where it's like nothing, like we are not making the playoffs up in Detroit, it might turn to the point where it's like, all right, sell off all these dudes and we're getting a lottery pick, and that's like start calling up all the Grand Rapids guys to get them as much time. It's just, and Grand Rapids usually gets like skimmed. But us having such a good record at the beginning of the season, it'll save us for that. Because, you know, when the playoffs come, we're going to get a good stacked roster for sure. No matter who gets called up, they'll probably send some guys down. Casper, we'll see if he's even eligible to come back down. You know, you can only play so many games until you got to go through waivers.
Right. Yeah, I think the most part, well, Kosa is up, and who knows how much he will end up being up for the rest of the season. He's the hottest goaltender in the system, and I think the whole organization knows that. And I think we might have to lean on Campbell and Geilander a little bit to get through the season by the end of it.
Yeah, so Kosa has 9 wins, 4 losses, overtime loss, shutout loss, a 2.21 goals against average, and a .925 save percentage, which is really good. So yeah,
Yeah, and he also has a shutout too. And yeah, it's hard to really draw on to the point. Kosa's done everything for the Griffins. Stop breakaways. He stops 2-on-1, stops 3-on-1, stops everything they've thrown at him. And yeah, every now and then one will get by him. He's still got some work to do to improve, and I think he knows that more than anybody. He is ready to play in an NHL game. I can tell you that. But
I love how chippy he is. He's not the dude. He's not the goalie that's gonna play games. He'll get you.
some of Kosa's after whistle antics are some of my favorite to watch in hockey.
Agreed, 100%. So yeah, I think that should bring us right to the penalty box. So this is the final segment of the episode. We always like to end on a fun note and step away from hockey. If we can stick to hockey if we want, but we pick the biggest idiot of the week and throw them in the penalty box for 2-minute minor, 4-minute double minor, 5-minute major, or game misconduct. Who are you throwing in the box, Kyle?
There's a guy in Kent County crashes his car into the Cascade Mire. Injures 4 people. I mean, it's a terrible, crappy day out there. Snow's just kicking. Decided it was a good day to go to Mire, as always. But I guess they described it as a medical emergency that a 29-year-old suffered while driving up to Mire, and I guess that resulted in them trying to take their car through the drive-through. So yeah,
Drive through the window of Walmart.
yeah, yeah. Mire doesn't have a drive-through unless it's pharmacy. So
Well, how long are you throwing them in there for?
only because it's a medical emergency, 2 minutes. If it wasn't a medical emergency, it'd be a 5-minute for sure. The fact that 4 people got injured, pushing it.
Alrighty. Have fun in the box. Alright, so for who I got in the box, some 22-year-old TikTok model posts a video of her dancing all happy next to looks like her husband or something. He's like on his deathbed, and she captions, "I got the will, guys," heart face, and she's just dancing. That's disgusting behavior. Makes me sick. So
Kids these days.
I'm gonna throw you in the box for 5 for that one, because that's just like the only time I'd ever do that is if it was some old beautiful woman with a lot of hunting property.
You're
Just
no better.
kidding. I would never do that. I would only be with someone if I love them, not for their money or their hunting land. But all right, yep. Have fun in the box. 5 minutes. All right, that should wrap us up for this episode. The Grand Rapids Griffins will be playing that triple header this weekend. Friday at the Van Andel Arena. They got $2 beer, $2 dogs. The Red Kettle game, and then they take the road to Chicago for a Saturday and Sunday matchup. That's going to be a 6-game road trip for the boys as soon as they leave town Friday night. So next home game after that will be on the 20th. So get your hockey fix in this Friday at the Van. $2 beer, $2 dogs versus Chicago Wolves. Freezer on Fulton. Till next time, go Griffins.
Go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like, and follow us on Facebook and X. Or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1-616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.